England against South Africa, for me, was always going to be one of the games of the autumn. I am so excited. I'm going to be there at Twickenham, but I'm so intrigued about the kind of test match we might be getting. And we've got a bit of an insight into that today because it's Team News Day. South Africa and England have named their Matchday 23s to go head-to-head at Twickenham this weekend. So welcome back to the channel. That's what we're talking about in this video. Appreciate you clicking on it and watching. Remember to like the video. And remember, if you haven't already, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button. But I'm going to launch straight into it. I'll start with England. I'll get on to South Africa. Let me know what you make of these two teams. I think I'll do another video tomorrow on Friday previewing the game as a whole. I'll try and focus more on the teams in this one. And this is the Matchday 23 that Steve Borthwick has decided to go with. A team that have been in the game but lost their matches against the All Blacks and against Australia. They come into this under a little bit of pressure. And it doesn't get much tougher, does it, than facing the back-to-back world champions. So 4 changes in total for England from the team that lost to the Wallabies. Sam Underhill replaces Tom Curry. He's out because of the head knock he picked up against Australia. Jack van Poortvliet is in at 9 instead of Ben Spencer, who drops out entirely. Ollie Slightholme comes onto the wing. Faye Wiboso also picked up a head injury against Australia. And Freddie Steward replaces George Furbank at fullback. So a few different areas I think to get into here. First of all, why? Why these changes? Well, 2 of them are injury enforced, so I'll maybe come on to them in just a moment. But why Van Poortvliet and Freddie Steward coming in? Because I think that tells us how England might approach this game, and I think it being the aerial game, the kicking game, being absolutely crucial to this. In the same way it was in the World Cup semi-final. Now, I don't think this is going to be the same game as the World Cup semi-final. England in particular have moved on as a team. South Africa have progressed and developed as a team. So they're in different places. But even so, I think the kicking game, the aerial game, and then off the back of that, whoever wins that, the territory game, is absolutely pivotal here. England have to try and play the game in the South African half of the field. And I think that is what the selection of Freddie Steward and Jack van Poortvliet maybe less so Van Poortvliet, in particular Freddie Steward, speaks to here. About Van Poortvliet's box kicks and kicking game and how good Freddie Steward is in the air. Now, Freddie Steward, that is quite a lot of pressure to come into in a sense because we all know a big reason of why he is there. Now, usually he is rock solid under the high ball. Sometimes he's not as consistent. Everyone has off days. In fact, I think the last time they played at Twickenham, that South Africa game in 2022, Eddie Jones's last game, Freddie Steward struggled a little bit in the air on that occasion. But it's kind of pressure on him in a sense because there's an expectation for him to perform in that area of the game. Van Poortvliet as well, with Ben Spencer dropping out entirely, for me is really interesting. Van Poortvliet's got a good kicking game. I wouldn't say it's drastically better than Ben Spencer. But Harry Randall is still the 9 on the bench. Now, I guess with Harry Randall, you've got a bit of zip-zip, as Eddie Jones used to call him, the zip-zip man, more than Spencer. Does Van Poortvliet offer more of a running threat than Spencer as well? I was chatting to someone earlier today who was saying that to me, that maybe it just keeps the defence honest around the fringes of the ruck a little bit more. But I think that's the reason for Steward and Van Poortvliet. Sam Underhill, I think when you lose Tom Curry, it makes absolute sense for Underhill to come in for this game. England's defence hasn't been good enough over the last 2 weeks. He's England's best tackler. The gain line is going to be so important against a box team or a Boks team which is absolutely jam-packed full of power, as I think I probably mentioned in every video I do about the Springboks. So I think that makes total sense for him in the back row. And then Slightholme came off the bench, scored 2 tries on the weekend, is good in the air, is quite an all-round winger. I've got no real qualms with him coming into the back 3 as well. So what do you make of it from an England point of view? And does this team selection reveal the game plan for England? Aerial game, kicking game is key, and territory off the back of it. That would be my conclusions that I draw from what Steve Borthwick has gone with. But you can let me know. I suppose the other thing I'll quickly mention actually with England is just looking at the bench, 2 key things here. England's bench has to have more of an impact. They just have to. They have not been effective enough over the last few weeks. But I'm really pleased to see Tom Roebuck there, a guy who I think, he's got 1 cap, hasn't he? I think he deserves his opportunity. He's progressed over the last few years for people that have watched him in the Premiership. And actually, if we're looking at his selection, he's another winger who's big, he's strong, he's good with ball in hand, but he's also good in the air. He is a big guy. So I'm pleased to see him in terms of his selection. Let's go on to South Africa. So, I mean, this is the team. It's so strong, as it always is. 12 changes from the Scotland game, and yet it still looks so strong. And I think it is one of the most amazing things about this South African team and what Rassie Erasmus has done over the years of building depth is they can make 12 changes, yet you look at the team and it certainly doesn't look any weaker. If anything, it looks stronger. They have 2 sets of starting 15s that they could rotate entirely and they would still give whatever team they were coming up against a really tough go at it. Their strength in depth is frightening. It is the envy of the rest of the world, I think. And this is a team which looks pretty intimidating, I think, from an England point of view. There are a couple of interesting things. And Springbok fans, you can let me know what stands out to you. I like Grant Williams at 9. I thought he was a real game changer off the bench against Scotland. But actually, it's the other part of the halfback combination that is perhaps most fascinating. Marnie Libbok. Let's cast our minds back to that World Cup semi-final, where Libbok had a really good year overall, and he got hooked in the first half because it just wasn't going his way. And there are also questions over his kicking from tee. I know he has been really clutch kicking before, but it's been hit and miss. So does he kick? And what an opportunity for him at Twickenham against England. Evening kickoff. No love lost between these two teams. They don't particularly like each other. There'll be a lot of South African fans at the game, I'm sure, because there always is. There's so many South Africans that live in London. But Libbok at 10... I'm interested in that. I really thought they would have gone with Pollard. In fact, I thought they would have probably go over 6-2 bench split. I didn't necessarily think Libbok would be part of the matchday squad. I love him as a running fly half. Can he unpick this England defence? I suppose that is the thing. England's defence, as I just mentioned, hasn't been good. If they are off it in any way, Libbok is the kind of player that will be able to exploit it. Does he have the control game, if that is what England are looking to play, the aerial game, the tactical game? He does at times. I think it's been inconsistent, which is why I thought they might go with Pollard. But Pollard is the man that is going to be coming off the bench. And I mentioned the 5-3 bench split. They have done it before against England, I'm pretty sure I'm correct in saying. And even when they only do 5 replacements rather than 6 or 7, the 5 they're able to bring on are still so strong. But I just wondered whether 6 or 7 would have just had that intimidation factor for England. Don't forget, I don't think we can underestimate what this South African team have done to this England team at the last 2 World Cups. Now, I know, all right, a lot of players here playing for England tomorrow wouldn't have played in 2019. Some of them wouldn't have played last year either. But it would still be in the back of their minds up front in the scrum. Decimated England in 2019 and certainly got much the better of England in the latter stages of the World Cup semi-final last year. And that was a major, major reason why England ended up losing that game. That will be a huge factor in this match. So I wondered whether they would have stacked the forwards replacements more as almost like a bit of an intimidation to the England pack of, you have never been able to stop us when we've done this, and this is what's coming off the bench for you. Maybe they're looking at it and saying, do you know what, we don't need 6 or 7, we can bring on 5 and we're still going to have the better of this English pack. That's incredibly plausible as well, but I just thought they might go for a 6-2 split. Didn't think they'd do 7-1, but with Rassie, you never know. He keeps us all guessing as well. Great to see Wilco Low in there as well. I mean, the guy is a beast. He's got 14 caps for Springboks for most other nations. Excuse me. He would have a lot more than that. And is a team that has the power in the pack and absolute dynamite out wide. When you've got Fassi, Kolbe, Arenza as your back 3, that can do some damage. Creel and Dialende in the centres are the tried and trusted pairing, aren't they? You know what you're going to get from both of those guys, vastly experienced. And as I've said already, I love Grant Williams at 9. So what do we make of it? As I say, I'm going to hold my kind of more general thoughts, I think, for the video tomorrow. I've kind of suggested how I think England will go about this. I cannot wait for this match, though, honestly. The rivalry, what's on the line in particular, and I'm coming at it obviously from an English point of view, but the fact that they've gone 0-2, to lose their first 3 games of the autumn would be incredibly damaging, but the Springboks will be favourites. They will be favourites coming into Twickenham. And if you're a Springbok fan, is this the biggest game for you of your Northern Tour? I suppose that's what I'm interested in. You've got other big matches. You probably love to be playing Ireland. But is it England at Twickenham? Is that the scalp that you really want? I think for both of these sets of players, this is the scalp that they would want. And it's going to be fascinating. I will be there. I'll do a video after the game at Twickenham. So make sure you keep an eye out for that one. And I'll do more of a preview tomorrow. For now, I'll leave it there. Comment down below. Like the video. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next one.